This is the Debrief at Decision Tactical. All right, we're in the rec room of Decision Tactical. We're here with Michal Osteen and Della Wiggins. I'm very happy to have you both here. We're hosting an event here at Decision Tactical on October 19th called Harvesting Hope. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff going on there in regards to education with fentanyl, Narcan, all different types of issues that are going on in our communities on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to let each of you explain a little bit about your background and how you're connected to this event. Michelle, would you like to start off?
Sure. My son, Ari, died from fentanyl poisoning about 3.5 years ago. And since then, I think some of us moms decided we're going to fight this and try and educate. I know Della is very involved in that, and so am I. And we're fighting this to try and educate the community and the children so nobody will ever have to deal with what we had to deal with. My son was a first responder, and we lost him to fentanyl poisoning.
Very sorry. Della, if you could tell us a little bit about how you got here and your son as well.
How I got here. My son, John, he was 46, and he was still active with the National Guard, and he had been in the Marines. In between the service, he started a pool business, building swimming pools. But somewhere along the way, I missed a beat with John. I knew he was having some issues, but he was dealing with PTSD and some mental problems derived from that. So he was always looking for a way to comfort his mind, and he couldn't sleep and things like that. Didn't want to go to the doctors because he didn't want people to know he had a problem. Anyway, I got involved with this because I said I wasn't going to let my son die in vain, and people were going to know that this was a problem. At that time, which was almost 7 years, it'll be January 13th. Wow. Makes my hair stand up. I remember saying that I wasn't going to let him die and not fight for these other families because we didn't even know what fentanyl was. And when I did a press conference with Sheriff Lima, it was a year after John's death, but they had just caught the guy. They had him, but he got away. And Sheriff Lima wanted to use my son as an example because of his military background and that this could happen to anybody and not to, put them all in a box. So I did that, and then I started Advocates for Our Angels, and that's a support group for parents that have lost children to this drug.
Is that how the two of you met?
Yes.
Yes.
How long has that group been around?
Well, there are a few different kinds of groups, support groups. Very difficult to find one that is centered on fentanyl.
Okay.
And I don't want to call it overdose.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have a problem with the word overdose because our boys did not overdose, and our children were poisoned. They didn't plan to go out and die from fentanyl. So, your group has been ongoing for a long time.
I think it was about almost 5 years that we've been going, because after Sheriff Lima did the press conference, it opened doors. I was attending another grief share, but like she says, they dealt with all kinds of deaths, and they didn't know how to respond when we said our child died from drugs. I overheard conversation, and I told them then it was an epidemic and they better get ready. So I'm sure that group has now been bombarded with the same kind of scenarios, but we chose to drop out and start our own so we could deal with that personally. And it's pretty effective. Parents like the fact that we don't, just cancer and car wrecks and things like that. It's hard to relate.
Is it local, your group that you're referencing? Or is it, okay. Cool.
The issue with that is there's a lot of stigma. So a lot of parents don't want to go to grief because there's a stigma around that. And the reality is that this is epidemic, and there are over 100,000 young people that die a year from fentanyl poisoning. It can happen to anybody. It's attacking a young population. There are more people who die from this drug than from heart attacks and car accidents put together. And unfortunately, when we started talking about when it happened to our children, people didn't know about fentanyl.
Yeah.
They just, looked at drugs as
umbrella, like just all
right,
the same.
All the same. And they didn't realize that drugs can actually kill with one time use. So you have 13-year-old kids who might pick up at a party and say, oh, take this, make you feel better for your mood, or Adderall, or anything else, and they die. So it can happen now. It is happening, not that it can, to people all over the world, mostly in America. And I think we're targeted. Our population is targeted.
Why do you think that?
The cartel and China are very huge contributors to our problem. They make the pieces, not the what do you call the chemicals.
Okay.
In China, they ship it to the cartel. Cartel makes the pills, or produces. It's all man-made, and it comes into the country. And even social media. My son used to say, listen, if somebody wants to get Adderall, they can do it in 2 seconds on social media. And a 13-year-old that is on social media very often gets approached by Snapchat and will say, oh, let me give you a free pill so you can feel better or do better at school. And it shows up at your doorstep, and the child takes it and either is addicted for life, or dies. Is dead.
Wow. Ever Google yourself and surprised at what you find? I have. Did not like what I saw. All my information is out there. I regularly receive spam calls, weird text messages, even experience card fraud. We need better protection. How did I even get our info? Well, thanks to today's sponsor, Aura, I now know. Aura shows me which and how many data brokers are selling my information. These data brokers make a fortune selling my and your information. They also make it hard to get your information removed from these sites, but Aura solves that by automatically submitting opt-out requests on my behalf. This helps reduce the amount of spam I receive, and I feel much more secure knowing my personal information isn't as exposed. I promise you, you have information exposed right now. Just Google yourself and find out. Best case scenario, more spam. Worst case scenario, hackers and scammers are getting into your financial accounts. Do we want that? I don't think so. I value my privacy and I value yours. Go to aura.com/decisiontactical to start your 2-week free trial. The link is in the description. Go check it out. What is fentanyl? I'm not sure. What use cases is it? It's used in hospitals.
It's used in hospitals for pain. had friends even that had fentanyl patches,
Okay.
which I never knew till this happened.
Wow.
Never heard the word before, but it's used a lot for pain. After this happened to my son, a friend of mine called me from North Carolina to tell me how sorry he was, but he was one that had the patches.
Okay.
And he said he had people approach him all the time wanting to buy them. And he said it's the craziest thing. They cut them up and chew them to get high.
Wow.
Once a person
Does
fentanyl, you're addicted
That's
to
it.
fentanyl.
one time.
One time.
And it doesn't, if you're looking for something else, it doesn't give you the same high. So what they're doing is getting all these young people actually addicted to fentanyl. My son didn't know he was getting fentanyl. He thought he was getting an Oxycontin. He had a first responder, another injury. And so he just went looking for an Oxy, and actually it was pure fentanyl.
Oh my God.
And we found him dead the next morning.
I'm sorry.
I'd
about
like
that.
to
Yeah, go for it.
reiterate something that
Please.
Michelle said about getting the pills online, because this has become a very big problem. I've been a hairdresser 40 plus years, but after John's death, I couldn't go back and stand in a salon. I just couldn't do it. So I ended up getting a job with a friend of mine who has Lifeboat Project, which is human trafficking agency. They're in Apopka. But I have been with her now 2 years. I've known her 4 years, but she has taught me so much through that program, because I go out and educate people, groups of people at churches and community centers about it. But the drugs play a big part in the trafficking. And now, I mean, like the borders, those kids coming across that are packed full of drugs to bring across. And then, as I've heard it said by FBI agents, that these kids are trafficked. They're made to perform sex acts to pay for getting them into our country. So between the internet, which also on Lifeboat, we have a sheet, and it changes constantly, these apps that the kids can go on. And it's the dark web. And they can purchase it, have it delivered, like Michelle said, to your door, and you don't even know your kids have it. Next thing you find them in their bed, dead, because of fentanyl.
Yeah, it's
And we get angry because we don't hear enough about it on the news. Our administration, it's like, do they not see or hear what? I mean, we have groups of mothers that go to Washington, D.C. They were just up there last month, and they march around the Capitol with signs, pictures of their kids. They look like tombstones. Then they go and put them in the ground. So it looks like this humongous graveyard of all these kids that have died from fentanyl. Do we hear that on the news?
I've never heard it
No.
until you mentioning it to me right now. So that's yeah, all of this is extremely tragic. And I'm sorry for you both and
Sorry,
everyone
I get a
else.
little irritated.
No, yeah, I get it. Yeah, you deserve that and more.
I think our goal in life is to keep our children alive.
Yeah.
They were here. They were so alive, and they helped. I think you will find that many kids that have died from fentanyl were extremely sensitive young people who helped
Many talents.
but also helped other people. My son used to go and feed the homeless, and he chose to be a first responder so he can save other people. And when I started speaking up 3.5 years ago, most kids in college didn't know anything about fentanyl. Most kids in high school didn't hear. And that was during the pandemic, and kids were on their social media looking for something to make them feel better. And many of them, I do a lot of lectures at the university level and for youth groups and for parents and grandparents, because everybody, and you talk to some mom and they'll say, oh, my kids will never do drugs. My kids will never smoke marijuana. And we have to educate them that this is our world today.
When do you think this, like when it turned into a crisis, like when is there like I don't know, like a time frame that you could reference, like in a history, like say you said 7 years ago with your son, like obviously it must have been before then, but like when it's getting worse, it's getting better, like what's the current status with that?
The biggest epidemic we had was the Opioid Crisis. Many young people that got injured, whether in the army or first responders, they got injured, they went to the hospital and to doctors, and they were just given so much Oxycontin.
A lot of that happened, yeah.
And today, you can only get 5 Oxycontin because it is a known fact that you get hooked. You get your brain, you hear them saying, my brain is hijacked. My brain is hijacked.
Wow.
And Sheriff Lima once told me the feeling that they get is if, like, one of us, somebody held our head underwater and held it and held it and held it. If you let go, wouldn't you take that breath? That is what happens to the brain. You feel like you can't breathe until you get another opiate, another oxy. So that's how it all started. People who knew nothing, they were just asking for help for their pain, got addicted.
And then when they couldn't get it anymore, they go on the streets looking for something. And this is what's happened. And a lot of that happened, I mean, it came from, you hear it talked about like up in the hills, up in West Virginia, and that it was big time problem up there. Then the people started coming down here because we had the pill mills going on. Wow. And they could actually come and go to a doctor, get what they wanted, and go back every month and get what they wanted. I've known personally people that were doing that. One girl was getting 180 oxys a month and 90 bar Valium or Xanax a month.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And all of a sudden you stop it.
Yeah.
And
then they gotta
they can't go to the doctor and get it anymore. So now they're doing other kinds of opiate drugs just to try and live, and breathe.
Tell me a little bit more about the group, the support group. How many people are a part of that? Are there new people joining frequently? Not that we want that, but but tell me about the history of it so far.
We definitely grow daily almost. Wow. And if not, it's 2 or 3 a week.
No way. Wow.
A lot of them for us have been out of state or out of town. Okay. So we do a Facebook.
Oh, that's Facebook. Okay.
So they communicate with us through that. And since COVID, it's been really difficult for people to engage. Only a few people would show up for meetings, and we have over 200 plus that are members in our group. And a lot of them just don't want to go to meetings, and then you have the moms that think they're okay and they got to move on. It's been time. And they're probably getting pressure from other family or friends. I've had it happen to me. Isn't it time you move on and let this go? And I get real angry with that because I'm not going to ever let it go till I get to go see my son again. So, it's a problem for us to to continue and try to. This month is Overdose Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Okay, 31st is Overdose Awareness Day, which was the only thing we had at the time when it happened to our children. Now we have a fentanyl day, and that's
Okay.
tomorrow.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah. Sheriff
wild.
Lima.
Yeah, that today.
We have to give credit to Sheriff Lima of Seminole County. He is probably the leading sheriff in this country to make awareness of the problem. He's attacking the problem. His team is so knowledgeable. He started Project Opiate, and if one of us asks him to come and speak with us somewhere, he always shows up.
Yeah.
He's been tremendous, amazing help, and
I've heard
so
him at the
thankful
chamber.
for him.
Yeah.
So thankful.
He'll
He's
be at
amazing.
Ryder Park tomorrow night.
He'll be at Ryder Park, and I think he might be here at Decision Tactical
Yeah,
on the
that
19th.
thing.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
I'm sure he'll be here. It makes sense. You guys mentioned COVID a bunch of times. During that time frame, like, how did it impact you, your families, and the all the families affected by this as well? Yeah, because I'm sure it played a part.
I used to speak after it happened to my son. It happened during COVID. I think there was no community for young people. They were all stuck at home. And then I started speaking at youth groups, and I would ask, how many of you are dealing with anxiety? All hands went up. All hands went up. And I said, how are you dealing with it? Of course, no one would say, oh, we're
Going to
taking,
therapy.
yeah, they couldn't go to therapy because that was not.
You'd have
people-
to do it online.
online. You couldn't go to rehab if you needed help because many of them were closed, were not allowing people in. But it changed life for our youth.
Yeah.
They have I don't believe yet we have overcome what COVID has done.
And I said earlier, my son had already passed. He passed in 2018. So I just think about it a lot, what it would be like if he was having to live here today in this world with what's going on. Being a military person and feeling the way he did about our country and what happens to our people, I think he would have really had a hard time dealing with, and especially if he got it and being quarantined, because that wasn't, he was too much of a outsider go-getter, you know.
Yeah.
But again, that's kind of when I realized there was a problem. This guy had been given to John, so thinking he was helping, but he quit doing things he loved to do, like surfing and fishing and all that kind of stuff. So if he was here today and couldn't do all those
Yeah.
things, yeah.
I do want to say, I want to give kudos to Decision Tactical that they are doing this
Oh, yeah.
event. I think it's just absolutely amazing. And our DEA team was absolutely incredible. They together with my kids, and who just were also amazing during those few days. They caught the guy, and he is in jail for a very, very long time.
Nice.
So, how does that make you feel?
It doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it at all any easier. To lose a child is the worst thing that could be any parent, any human being can go through. But there's one less person out there. But there are millions.
Of course.
So and in fact, I went up to his parents and I hugged them and said, "I'm sorry that you're losing your son too." It is. It's a sad situation.
That was an amazing thing that you did.
Wow,
Truly.
yeah, there's a lot of credit to that. What advice would you give to parents both affected by it and parents that are potentially could be affected by it? I know it's everybody, it's a big blanket group, but just, let's, if you have any words of advice.
I had a lady I had to speak with that had just joined our group, and all I could tell her was try to be involved.
Okay.
I just can't say enough about helping is healing. Talking is definitely healing. You can't keep it bottled up. You have to talk to people. But the parents that are still lucky enough to have their children, I want to say, pay attention. I said this in my interview with Sheriff Lima. John used to say I was nosy, and I said I wasn't nosy enough.
Wow.
So pay attention.
I feel that we are our son's voice.
Mm-hmm.
I hear Ari in my head all the time,
Wow.
guiding me and telling me, Mom, you go ahead, do that. You got to save. And I do feel that just the other day, I met with 2 young teens who are struggling and just educating them. And yet I have parents and say, oh, I don't want my kids to hear anything about drugs. So I would say to the parents that are lucky to have their children, you got to educate them about fentanyl. It is not even about drugs anymore.
No.
It is, a friend gives you a pill and say, oh, it's my brother's Xanax. No, you have to teach them. And as far as healing, it takes time. You never heal. Again, I think that the way we deal with it is our children are with us. And we have sons, but we have many people in our groups that have daughters. It's not just guys. No. And it ranges from age 13 to mostly 45, younger generation. And you do the best you can.
Well, thank you.
I want to say, too, that we also do Narcan training.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we've learned that that's a way we can help people also. And I share it everywhere I go. Restaurants, bars, anywhere. Schools, my grandkids carry it with them. Oh. My daughters, my sons. Yeah.
Yeah. I give out Narcan to people like
that we don't even know.
Yeah, we just give out and educate. Most people don't know about Narcan, but Narcan can save a life.
You guys are mentioning Narcan, and I know we're going to have stuff at the event for it. What is that, and what is it used for?
Narcan works like a nose drops, and it comes in a little packet. The sheriff actually taught me to take it out of the packet, put it in my purse, put it in my pocket, and always have it ready. If a person falls over or loses conscious because of opiate, you spray one in one nostril and then you spray the other, and they're supposed to wake up. Many people have said to me, well, I don't want to do that it cannot hurt anybody for any other reason. So if someone's having a heart attack and you use it on them, it will not. The way Narcan works is like a magnet. The opiate attacks the brain, and the Narcan pushes it away from the brain. Wow. Then you have 30 minutes to call 911 and get the person to the hospital, because up to 30 minutes, there is a possibility of the opiate reattaching to the brain. So we
you can use more than one. I've known people that have said they use 3 or 4 to bring somebody back. So in each box, like she's saying, there's 2 applications, and you may need to use more. But also, when you do it, need to be aware that they may not be happy that you brought them out of their happy place.
Okay, yeah.
So back up
All right.
after you shoot them in the, give it in the nose. But it won't hurt anybody else. The only thing it works on is opiates. So if it was another drug, it's not going to do anything. A child can pick it up and do it, and it will not bother them.
Right.
Understood.
Plus, there's the Good Samaritan law. So if the person does unfortunately die, nothing can happen to you. So it's very important. And I give it out to the universities, we give it out to high school kids. Whenever I give a talk, I have a display.
Yep.
And the first time around, nobody wanted to take it because they were like, well, then everybody will think that I am using drugs. You cannot use it on yourself. You can only use it on somebody else because you die within seconds or you become unconscious in seconds. But today when I give it out, they're taking 2, 3, 4, and we totally encourage them to take it to any party they go to save a life.
Always have it on them.
Wow.
Just to save a life.
Wow. Okay.
I just want to say
Go for it.
that a lot of people don't realize that it can be in marijuana.
Okay.
So the sheriff explains it as almost like a cookie dough.
Okay.
And the guys that first do the pills or first have the Narcan, they do it on a table. Then they clean it up like that, roll the marijuana, and if 1 or 2 or 3 little grain of salt size get into the marijuana, you will
Gone.
be dead. Either gone or addicted from now on to...
Another thing Sheriff Lima says that's important too is people ask, why do drug dealers sell this knowing that it's killing their clients? And the way he explained it was, there's another one right around the corner.
Wow.
And they don't care. They're making money. That's all they're after.
I just wanted to close out here and say,
Before that,
go for it.
Before that, I just want to
Please.
mention that
keep it going.
it used to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Today, you can get it free online. You can some pharmacies you can get it for free, and Project Opiate that Sheriff Lima started, you can get it for free there. It used to be
Like $50 to $75.
Yeah, $90,
or so.
something like that.
No way.
And today it is
per
free.
Yeah,
Yes,
per box.
So I
Happy to
encourage
hear
people to reach out to Project Opiate and get it.
We'll make sure to put their link
Or
in
to
like
me.
our, in our. well, we're gonna reach out to you guys and make sure that we get all the proper information. To
And
put
you
in our
and you will
description.
have it here on the 19th.
Yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to say how grateful I am that we were able to sit down together, and you guys were able to share your story with our platform. And just
We
thank
want to
you.
thank you for that
Thank you
opportunity.
too.
Yeah,
to
of
do
course.
so.
So hopefully this is one of many where this isn't this. Yeah, we need to continue this.
May we all be able
Yeah.
to save lives.
Yeah, genuinely. All right, appreciate you
Thank you.
both.